Joel Embiid has had the NBA in the palm of his massive hands for most of the season, and that was certainly the case on Friday night against the Chicago Bulls when he dropped a 50 spot in a big win. One of his mentors, backup Dwight Howard, seemingly always in great spirits, and how can you not be when you're in the warm weather of Florida? Shake Milton at shoot-around earlier today in Tampa. He's going to be back along with Ben Simmons for the 76ers tonight as they open up a two-game series against the, what shall we call them, Lauren Rosen, the Tampa Raptors? I've been thinking about this a lot. I don't know. What should we call the Raptors?
The Tampa Toronto Raptors. I'm not even going to try. I'm going to say the Toronto Raptors in Tampa.
Yeah, I think I like Tampa better than Tarampa. I don't know. We can think about it. We also have Tuesday's
Tarampa's
game.
kind of fun.
We can Tarampasaurus Raptors. I don't know. We can debate it. We have until Tuesday.
I'm in no hurry to pick a name, but I like both.
All right. This is not a debate about the geographical location and name of the Raptors. This is 7-6 Live Countdown presented by Tissot. Thanks so much for tuning in. That's Lauren. I'm Brian. 76ers opening up a key two-game series against division and conference rival, the Raptors tonight. The Raptors on the rise. They're winners of 8 out of their last 11 games. They're now at 500 after starting the season 1-7. They're 15-15, while the 76ers are 20-10. And man, last we saw the Sixers, and specifically Joel Embiid, they were looking great on Friday in a tight win, but a solid win over against a good Chicago team. And the great news, Lauren, is that on the heels of that, they get Ben Simmons and Shake Milton back tonight.
Yes, indeed. I guess it's the first time we're saying this, but if you're just joining us, whether or not you're just joining us, Shake Milton, Ben Simmons, both back in the lineup tonight. We just learned that minutes ago. Shake, of course, has been out for a little bit longer than Ben, dealing with that ankle sprain. Ben, on the other hand, has been sick over the last 2 games with a non-COVID illness. So what a treat to get 2 of the team's top 4 leading scorers back in the lineup. Maybe we've forgotten we've been missing both of those guys for long enough that it's made a bit of an impact. The Sixers have done a good job of winning even in their absence, but it'll be great to have Shake especially back in the lineup. Not necessarily especially more than Ben, but it's just been a longer time since we've seen Shake out there on the floor. It'll be great to see him again.
Taking a look at the line from Joel Embiid's golden game on Friday versus the Bulls in the 76ers win, 112-105. A 50 spot, first time in Joe's career, first for 76ers since Allen Iverson did it in December of 2005 against the Atlanta Hawks. Just look at that. Huge scoring number, huge rebounding number, handing out assists as well, and quite the milestone for Joel Embiid, who continues. He's already had, Lauren, a sterling resume, but he continues to tick-tock off boxes as he goes for even loftier accomplishments. But a 50-point game, I think that was something that was, people felt it could be coming for a while, and finally Joe was able to check the box for that on his resume on Friday.
And in the modern NBA, 50-point games come more often from guards. And so to see 17 rebounds next to those 50 points is pretty darn incredible. A big man getting 50, not something that we usually see. He's the last person to have a 50-15-5 game. Wilt Chamberlain. It's truly crazy what Joel has been able to do in the modern game. He's unlike anybody else, and there's a reason why people are making some MVP chatter already.
It's funny, sometimes I see in the mentions, Lauren, there's look at that great play with Matisse Thybulle throwing one down in the second quarter of the 76ers matchup with the Bulls, big hammer jam from Joel Embiid. Sometimes I see in the mentions when we throw out some of these statistical comparisons for either what Joel's done in a game, first time since, or what he's doing this season, first time since. People say, well, the game was different when you go back almost 60 years ago and Wilt Chamberlain was playing compared to now in 2020, 2021 with Joel Embiid out there. I get it. Totally understand. But it still is worth noting that just on the basic surface level of statistical output, Joe is doing things in the here and now that someone for this franchise, at least, hasn't done in over half a century. That, to me, is significant.
And just incredibly unique. I know I already said it once, but how often do you see a guy have a big stat outside of their 50-point performance? Not very often. 17 rebounds is a huge stat regardless of where the rest of your productivity came from. So the fact that he was able to put up 50 and 17, I think it was a really, really unique evening. And those of us who got to watch it, it was such a treat.
And sure, he was scoring the basketball at will. He established himself on the block early on against Wendell Carter Jr. It was pretty much for as much as Joe wanted to eat. He could fill his plate again and again and again. It was like probably one of those Brazilian steakhouse deals where you flip the card. Is it green? Is it red? Green all night long for Joe. We knew he could score the ball, but he also did a lot of other things. We mentioned the rebounding, and even that highlight on the basket that made it 105 to 100 in favor of the Sixers, a really deft finesse touch pass that he lobbed into Tobias Harris, who, by the way, had a great game as well for the Sixers.
Yes, indeed. The two of them, Doc Rivers said it, really put the team on their back. And that's what you need from your stars sometimes. Not everybody can be firing every night, especially when you're missing two of your top four scorers in Shake Milton and Ben Simmons. So to see Joel and Tobias each step up together, we saw Tobias and Ben step up together in a separate game. It's been really cool to see how that group of three stars has started developing chemistry in all different directions. Each of them now have a good relationship on the court with the other two. And it's just been really cool to see how that's grown and developed. It'll be exciting to see all three of them back together once again. It's been over a week now, right, Seltz?
It has been, it feels like perhaps a month, but yes, over a week, I think. These games and days all blur together. I think we're at 7 days exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll
Still
fact check
a
that
few
during the
games
break.
without all three.
Yes. The thing about Joel is obviously the general production and output is there, but it's also when he's doing things, coming alive in the fourth quarter against the Bulls on Friday, scoring 13 of his 50 points, getting to the free throw line to help put the game away. And it's just, how do you quantify and put into words what the guy's doing? Joel was asked that after the game, and here's what he had to say about his first 50-point game.
I don't know. I mean, it just feels like the game has slowed down for me. Last year, I'll say, the only difference from this year and last year is not so much about coaching. It's more about me being willing to, just dominate every single minute that I'm on the floor. Last year, I was going through a rough time. It was just not there. And then also, the moves that, Daryl made, adding all that shooting is also helping a lot. But like I said, it's not so much about coaching. It's just about me, just turning a corner and just being willing to, dominate every second on defense and on offense.
I think, Lauren, that was an honest assessment from Joel Embiid, because if you turn back the clock 2 seasons ago and look at the 76ers roster then, when J.J. Redick was still on the team, and they had some shooting they could bring off the bench, the way the roster is designed now is more similar to what it was back then. And in that season and the one before it, in 2017-18, Joel Embiid, you could tell, much more comfortable compared to what the roster looked like last year. So I think that comfort with personnel and the type of personnel is one thing. And I give him credit, too. He was really working hard throughout this offseason, really didn't stop much aside from the birth of his son after the 76ers were bounced from the bubble. So it does seem like all these different things, personnel, mindset, and perhaps a new coaching perspective, helping Joel Embiid put together one of the strongest MVP candidacies in the league so far.
Well, it's interesting. You talk about that mindset and that comfort that he had in the 2017-18 season, surrounded by those shooters, that he feels once again now. But I would add what you said about the work he's put in the offseason. He has the comfort, but he also looks like a better player. So the comfort from that season mixed with the improvements that he's made this season are what's making him so incredibly lethal. I also appreciate the way that he's been shouting at his teammates, because realistically, he's having just a historic run, but he's done a really good job of giving credit to the other guys that are making it possible for him. And I really admire that in a star player.
And listen, something going back to what we saw at the end of last season and also the previous two, Joel ran into trouble, especially in key games in the postseason, turning the ball over late, and that we have not seen a lot of so far this season. So Definitely would agree with Joel's assessment of himself that he's turning a corner. Lauren, another piece of sound I wanted to play was from an all-star candidate from the other side, Chicago, and hear what was it like for an elite player in the league to watch Joel Embiid share the floor with him as he was wreaking havoc on the Bulls. So from one of Chicago's own, Zach LaVine, an all-star candidate who dropped 30 on the Sixers, this is what he observed from Joel Embiid in that game on Friday.
It's just he had one of them nights, man, and it's tough. He made a lot of contested, fadeaway jumpers, and even when the double team came and he got offensive rebounds, he's for a guy that size, to be that skilled and to shoot that well, it's not like you can do when he's making those shots, man. To be honest with you, like it's tough. I thought we played really good defense at times on him, and he still made shots. So, obviously, I think you can, just try to get out of his hand and make everybody else beat you. But he had those for him. He had 50, man, and it was a close game. So that's it took him to get 50 to beat us, and that's it. It was tough. It was tough. He did his job as an MVP candidate, obviously.
Sure did. And sometimes, as a member of the opposition, I guess all you can do when someone's going like the way Joel was, shrug your shoulders, smile, say congrats.
They made it tough on him, though. Credit to the Bulls. That's a team that has been struggling a little bit, and they had a good second half. They forced him to get that 50th point at the line, which I wanted to make sure that we gave Joel credit for what he's been doing at the line. Absolutely crazy, and I thought it was fitting that he got his 50th point there, where he's leading the league in attempts. He has 11.6 attempts per game. That's best in the league. 9.9 makes from the line. That's also best in the league per game. So I thought it was really fitting to see a 7-footer get his 50th point at the line, and to be so confident with his touch there has been just a really cool part of his game to watch develop.
He is a man who can initiate, create contact, and convert, as we see right there. Also in the picture with Joel just a frame ago, Tobias Harris. Tobias stood up by you, Lauren. I think probably had one of the best bites of the night. Here he is talking about what it's meant to play alongside Joel this season.
Oh man, it's an honor, really. When you look at a guy like that, how dominant he is on the floor, and just his ability to make plays and to score out there. I'll tell my kids one day I was playing with Joel Embiid, and when they ask who's the best player you play with, I said it's Joel Embiid. So, it's an honor to be out there with him on the floor.
Love that.
I think that was my favorite bite of the night as well. So it's just really cool to hear Tobias reflect on history in the making, the way that he is able to express sort of deeper, more meaningful thoughts. I think it's always special when he's willing to do that and talk about his future children and the future reflection upon his career, which we would imagine still has plenty of good years left in it. To know now that Joel Embiid is the best player he's ever going to play with, I think is a really special sentiment, and I appreciated Tobias sharing it with us.
So Joel Embiid and his 50-point game was the top headline for the 76ers on Friday. A very close second sub-headline, Doc Rivers getting his latest recognition. Already the reigning Eastern Conference Coach of the Month. But how about this? For the third time in Doc's 21-year head coaching career, he is heading back to the All-Star game as a head coach of one of the teams. Applause. Congratulations, Doc Rivers. He will lead Team Durant. Team, of course, has to be compiled when the captains select, but yes, love that.
Bravo to Coach Rivers indeed, and true to form, he gave all the credit to his team for the way that they've been playing. That's an award that he cannot get without positive play from his team. He also has mentioned plenty of times that he believes that aside from Joel, who was obviously named an all-star starter, he believes that there are a couple other guys on this roster who should be able to make it into this game if he has his way. So cool to see him use this honor to pump up the group of guys that have been making it happen.
And yes, for sure, the head coach leading the top team in East Conference typically ends up going and representing the All-Star, or a portion, however they do it now, of the All-Star squads from that conference, depending on who's the captain, what team. But I think to underscore this point, Doc Rivers is having a really great season. We've seen so far through 30 games that he's been pushing the right buttons, knows who to insert into what situations when, and he's been able to streamline things for his guys under unprecedented circumstances to bring this all together and catalyze success.
It's been cool to see the way that everybody has sort of deflected credit to one another. Doc credits his team, the team credits one another, they credit Doc. We've heard Daryl Morey do some media recently where he's really crediting the team, crediting Doc, crediting Elton Brand. It really does seem like they have a good collaborative atmosphere right now between the coaches and the players and the executives. Of course, when you're winning, everything's better, but it takes all those people to win games. So it's been really cool to hear the way that they've all given one another props over the last few days.
How long ago does it feel like that Christmas was? Another lifetime, maybe? Well, the day after Christmas was the last time the 76ers had every single player on their 17-player roster available, and that's going to be the case again tonight for the first time since then. Ben Simmons back after missing 2 games, Shake Milton back after missing the last 5, and I'm excited, Lauren, the 76ers, regardless of how fresh everyone is, that remains to be determined. They're just going to have everyone at their disposal if Doc wants to use whoever is available on the active roster tonight before scratches.
You mentioned Christmas. Well, the day after Christmas was only 3 days after this season even started on December 22nd. So this is a Sixers team that's really not had everyone available at all since the beginning of the season. So this is a cool opportunity. I know Doc Rivers would probably say that it's not one he's going to take for granted because of injuries, because of all the unknowns that could take place as this season continues. But yes, indeed, a very cool opportunity for Doc to be able to go as deep into his bench as he wants to, because he wants to, not because of who is or isn't available.
Another thing I'm looking forward to is, coincidentally, Ben Simmons. Last time he was out on the floor last Monday against Utah, he had his career high game with a 42-point performance against the Jazz. Then we saw Joel Embiid play pretty well in the game on Wednesday against the Houston Rockets. And then, of course, Friday was Friday. So now, just before Ben went out, Ben was playing at a high level, Joe at a super high level. Let's bring them together, see what the 76ers can do.
No doubt about it. There's been a lot of noise on social media clamoring for Tobias Harris to get his career high in tonight's game so they can all do it in the same week. Tobias, will remind you, has neared his career high already a couple times this year. He's been on a tear, but Ben Simmons has just been so aggressive over these last few weeks. It feels like he's really rounding into form on both ends of the court. Right after he made that claim that he feels he's the best defensive player in the league, he also goes out and shows that he's one of the best offensive players in this league. He has just been phenomenal in the last couple of weeks, and hopefully he'll be able to find his footing rather quickly now that he's back in the lineup.
And listen, Lauren, I love the fact, as I said, the 76ers will have the full roster of players at their disposal. However, I thought it was also neat that in the absence of some key players over the last week and a half, there are some guys who at this stage of the season, maybe we didn't anticipate getting some additional minutes and playing time, getting that opportunity and a chance to fill in off the bench and get important reps, talking about some young players on this team.
Yes, indeed. We saw Matisse Thybulle step into the starting lineup and do a great job against some high-quality offensive players. And then we also saw guys like Isaiah Joe step into the lineup, maybe at the beginning, not for heavy minutes, but then in that game against the Bulls, we saw him in the first quarter. Isaiah Joe was a guy who made himself ready when the team was missing a lot of guys due to health and safety protocols. So in his rookie season, already an unprecedented type of season to have to deal with, but this youngster has shown his ability to stay ready and stay professional at all times. It's been really cool to watch him get his moments and get those opportunities. Whether or not they'll come now that the full roster is available, we cannot be sure, but it was a pleasure to talk to him, reflect on the opportunities he has had, and ask him about Joel Embiid. What's it been like stepping into heavier minutes, playing some first quarter minutes? Have you felt comfortable out there lately?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. I feel real comfortable out there. I feel like the team and the coaching staff does a really good job of, put me in and trusting what I can do. Whenever I get in the game, it's just all about winning at that point. So I do whatever I can to help the team win. And yes, I feel comfortable.
What's it been like for you behind the scenes to sort of stay ready for the moments and the minutes that have come for you sort of sporadically, but pretty regularly all season?
Yeah, so I think a lot of it is just learning on the fly, being able to watch the veterans, being able to pick up what they do on and off the court. So whenever it's my time that I'll be ready. feel like I've been doing a really good job. They do a really good job of keeping me in tune, making sure I'm upbeat on everything, making sure I'm involved. So when it is my time, that I will be prepared. And so I'm just going to continue to do that and wait for my turn.
Last one from me. As a rookie, playing alongside Joel Embiid this year, as he's had this historic, really, tear, especially over the last few weeks, what's it like to be Joel Embiid's teammate right now?
It's amazing, just to be able to watch what he's capable of. He's an amazing player, and I feel like you can learn a lot from him, and he's just one of those guys that you need on your team to help you go far in this league. And so with Joel and the rest of our players and our coaching staff, I feel like we're going to go real far in this season and have a huge run.
Thanks so much, Isaiah.
Thank you, Lord.
Great stuff from Isaiah Joe. I think he is a player who's got quality potential, and that was reaffirmed in some of the minutes he got the last couple of games.
Yes, indeed. I love the way that he's been able to stay ready. I understand how difficult this season must be for everybody, but especially for the rookies that don't know what the regular NBA even looks like. Shout out to all of them for staying ready, staying confident, and doing everything they're doing. It's been a pleasure to get to know Isaiah Joe.
Indeed. 76ers getting to know a new location for the first time in forever, possibly. The 76ers playing a regular season NBA basketball game in Tampa, Florida Gulf Coast. Wow. Pretty different. But border rulings with Canada amidst COVID-19, the result of the Raptors playing this entire regular season, first and second half in Tampa, Florida. Could certainly understand reasons why the Raptors, Lauren, got off to a bumpy start this year. They opened the year 1-7. Since then, they've been playing really well. They're back up to 500 at 15-15. They're coming off a 3-game perfect road trip. The first 2 wins over the Milwaukee Bucks. So without a doubt, and I know the Sixers would under any circumstances given recent history, you got to take these Raptors seriously.
Love that subtitle, We the South. It is an interesting situation, to be sure. Your thoughts have to go out to these Raptors who have all relocated to the South. Maybe a little bit of jealousy with that weather there. That sounds pretty nice to spend the year somewhere warm, given our current climate here in Philadelphia. But yes, they've been great lately, 7-3 in the month of February. That's the best record in the league in February. So these Raptors are hot. They're ready to go. We did just learn, however, Kyle Lowry would not be available tonight. So that takes away one of their biggest punches, especially on the offensive end. This is a team, of course, we're seeing some highlights now that the Sixers are very familiar with. It feels like this is a team that we face maybe more than 4 times a year, Celts.
No doubt. And yes, it definitely removes a weapon like that right there, as you see Kyle Lowry coming off the screen to knock down the straightaway 3. But they still have a guy who is making a very strong case in himself out of Toronto's backcourt for an all-star reserve spot, and that is Nick Nurse's Fred VanVleet. He is awesome. He is tough. He's averaging over 20 points per game. He can knock down threes. He had a 50-point game earlier this season against OKC. He is one scary dude. And there's also Pascal Siakam, Lauren, who I feel like has not been mentioned by anyone at all this season, especially on a national level, outside of what was like a very strange first few weeks of the season for him. One, he got benched for not following team protocol, but you really haven't heard a lot from Pascal Siakam, who could be starting at center tonight at 6'9" against his fellow Cameroonian countryman, Joel Embiid. So that's something to take a look out for, too.
For sure. VanVleet, Siakam, both really legitimate threats that could do a lot of damage. And I have to correct myself, Celtics, 7-3 in February, the best record in the East in the month of February, not the best record in the league. I'm not sure anybody caught that, but I had to correct myself. But the two of them, I agree, are very, very legitimate threats. We've seen what both of them can do, and really cool to see a guy like Fred VanVleet, who has sort of come onto the radar gradually, become as good as he has become this season, averaging career highs pretty much across the board. Good for him. Hope, though, that maybe tonight isn't his best night.
All right, Lauren, it is that time. Speaking of which, I'm going to take out my Tissot Chrono XL NBA Special Edition, check a look, and it seems like it's time for the Tissot keys to the game. We're going to do them right here, right now. Game 1 of a 2-game series on the road. 76ers and the Raps. Lauren, you are up first.
Okie dokie. I said make sure you are keeping an eye on Pascal Siakam. He is the Raptors' leading scorer right now. He's the type of guy at 6'9" who could be guarded by a Ben Simmons, could go up against a Joel Embiid. Maybe Matisse Thybulle gets some minutes on that guy. We know Matisse can guard a lot of different positions, but with Ben back in the lineup, he can guard a lot of different positions. Feels like the Sixers have more weapons to guard a guy like Siakam than maybe I thought they would when I wrote this key to the game. But I think as long as they give Siakam a lot of attention, make him work for it, they can really slow down that Raptors offense.
No doubt. And
I took a little too much time
instructive
here.
looking back. No. I think you hit 24 right on the nose. I think it's a great key. My time has already started. I really got to scramble to get this in. 1, the size factor. Yes, it could be something. I think it's also instructive for us to keep in mind how the 76ers blitzed Utah last Monday when going small. So just because the Sixers have the size advantage pretty much across the board in almost every position doesn't necessarily mean you're going to dominate. But I was going to say, if there had not been a quick trigger, which is okay, Claudia and Trevor, for the 24-second clock, I was going to amend my key to the game and throw this out there. Thinking holistically about the Raptors, they always seem to be a team with a toughness, with an attitude, with an edge. I want the 76ers. I think they've been doing more of this year, but I have longed for the 76ers. Am I getting another 24 seconds? Wow, this is the 72-second Tissot Keys the Game segment. Mind blown. I have longed for the 76ers to have that type of edge that we've seen Toronto play with the last couple of years. I think they've been doing a great job at it this year, but keep an edge against a team like Toronto. You know that they always believe in themselves, as shown by this year as they've pulled themselves back to 500.
Love it. We have the tangible keys. We have the intangible keys. You need it all if you're going to beat a team like the Raptors, who we remember with most of this core just won an NBA championship not too long ago.
Little did our audience know they were going to get a buy 2, get 1 key free tonight. But that's what we do.
Love
Here
that.
on 7-6 Live Countdown, presented by Tissot. All right, well, I'm looking forward to this, a 2-game series against a division rival, brand new setting, Tampa, Florida. Should be fun. Programming notices tomorrow morning, The Scoop. Subscribe wherever you get your pods, 76ers Scoop. Search that and then hit the subscribe button or follow. And then we have our Mailbag Monday segment, Lauren, on the pod coming up that we will tape tomorrow mid-morning. If you have a question, comment, take, perhaps thoughts on Joel Embiid's 50-point McNuggets outing on Friday or whatever happens tonight, give us a call. 215-403-7637.
Yes, indeed. We love hearing from you guys on the voicemails. I was just looking through the comments as Celts was taking you guys through that. Some questions about availability. So if you are just joining us for the end of the show, Ben Simmons, Shake Milton, both available for the 76ers tonight. Celts gave us this tip, but first time since Christmas time that all of the Sixers will be available to Doc Rivers should he want to use them.
From Joel Embiid to Vincent Poirier, eat your heart out, 76ers fans, and Doc Rivers, they're all there.
I don't know that we've ever appreciated health as much as we do right now, but I certainly appreciate that type of health on a personal level, on a Sixers level. Excited to see them all available tonight. Enjoy the game. Thank you guys, as always, for rocking with us on 7-6 Live, presented by Tissot.